Good morning, good morning. How is everybody doing today? Hello, hello. Sorry I am starting late. Typically, I try to start my lives whenever the majority vote for a time. I lost track of time, so I am a little bit late getting on. I apologize. But I'm here nonetheless, just a little bit late. How is everybody doing? Happy not Wednesday, happy Sunday. I have not gotten ready, so I may be getting ready while we're on. Due to me being late, I'm sure it's going to take a little bit of time for people to get here, and that's okay. It's been a pretty uneventful weekend here. I wonder has anybody had done anything exciting for their weekend? Hello, how is everybody doing? I see some people coming in. Sorry I am late. I lost some track of time. And I looked at the clock and I realized it was past 10:30 and I was like, "Oh no. I need to go get on." Hey Dana, how are you? So, I am probably going to be getting ready this morning while we do this live. And I didn't think this through all the way because you guys are on top of my brushes. And I'm going to need those. Trying to see if there's something that I can use to prop up the laptop. So today I wanted to go ahead and go live for you guys because I'm trying to get back into my routine. In addition, whenever I went live on, what was it, Friday evening, we talked about a lot of things, but one of the things that I wanted to kind of talk about is, since I had been kind of not online very much over the past kind of 2 weeks, really, I wasn't able to kind of talk about the updates of what was going on with the Sophie case. And I feel I owe it to the people who have been coming to my channel for my take and my perspective on that, to kind of talk about that. And while talking about that, often I talk about how in my opinion, how the other creators who have been discussing it, how they have been doing. Not that, my opinion is what everybody should follow, but that's kind of what I've done when I've talked about Sophie in the past. So that's kind of what I was going to stick to today. Hey, Amber, how are you? I hope you're having a good Sunday. Sorry I am late. I'm still trying to find something to maybe prop you guys up on. Give me just a second. I think I know what I can use. Got this purple box. I'm going to try and put you guys on this purple box. Sorry this isn't organized. I didn't know I was going to do my makeup. I kind of was just going to come on here and chat, but I totally have lost track of time and I probably should be getting ready. Sorry for the super close up, guys. It's better that than seeing all the random tools and stuff all over the floor that my husband has. So once I get this stuff situated, then we'll go ahead and get into it. You guys can start giving me your opinions of or what your feelings are about how everything's been kind of talked about and what information has come forth about the Sophie case in the last week, the last update we kind of got. There we go. My space is just limited, but that's okay. What are you guys' opinions about all of that stuff? Are you surprised? Are you not surprised? Is it what you expected to have happen or not? All right, so is this the one I'm going to use? Yeah. You haven't kept up this week? It wasn't this week. It was really what happened from the last court date. Hey, Sloan. Kind of what you expected. You don't know much about Kelly's side. It seems to be not anybody knows much about Kelly's side. I kind of wanted to talk about just, I feel like this case it already got viral, and then, people talking about it online, myself included, helped boost the case being known. And I'm not saying that in a positive or a negative way. I'm just meaning we brought more attention to it by discussing it, by putting it out there to our audience. And I think it gave it a lot of, attention. And then one space that it's been covered that I never go to for information is Facebook. And, there were a lot of pages that were being made and then deleted, or something was happening with pages that had these Facebook groups for this movement, this child, and then they kept disappearing for whatever reason. I didn't follow that stuff because I'm not on Facebook in that way, so I really don't know what was going on with that. But I thought it was very strange from like hearing all the other creators talk about it, what was going on with the Facebook groups. And I never looked into it because I don't go on Facebook, and I don't think I would be the one to be able to decipher what was happening. You said it made it very opinionated, which is odd. It's not based off of facts. It was really twisted up. Yeah, it really was. And that's kind of what I've talked about in the other streams I've had when I've talked about this case, is just kind of how, and Sloan, you've stuck on the side of the child. Yeah, you've been able to provide your opinion on who you were, more aligned with and more aligned to kind of believe. But you always said you were there for the child. You always continued to push that Sophie's safety was what was most important. And in that, I agreed with you. I continue to, whenever I would give the updates or talk about it, I tried to do so from a point of both sides could be right at the end of the day. And I provided information from my experience on how both sides could be right. And then all of these creators got involved, and there's nothing wrong with these creators getting involved in telling their story, but the way that some of the creators who were covering it, were telling it, were saying they weren't being biased, but they were definitely being biased. And that's where my issue came. And that's why I have talked about the creators covering it. And we all know which creator I'm talking about. I'm not trying to, come for her or anything. But at the end of the day, she put herself in this position. And, it's very clear to me at this point how she feels she maybe has messed up, because there's been, her deleting some stuff. She's always curated her comment sections on those videos. I mean, so it's kind of telling, and it's frustrating that, somebody with such a large platform like that, if you had that opinion and then you were spewing your opinions as facts when you were getting your information from somebody who maybe wasn't who you were telling your followers you were getting it from, that's where my issue lies. Hey, Dottie, how are you? You stepped away from the story. Yeah, I know I realized you had stepped away. And, I don't think there's anything wrong with stepping away. I think if anything, that goes to show you were observing how crazy it was becoming, because it wasn't, and I'm not trying to like make an issue here, but it started to become between subscribe on YouTube. My opinion as a viewer was it started to become like an us versus them kind of thing, even though like I agreed more with how the Dad Challenge podcast and Annie, how they were delivering the information, who their sources were, who they were willing to say. And it's been very evident that my opinion is more on the father's side, but I have been open and I have been willing to talk about the mom's side. And I know in the mom's opinion, the mom's point of view, how I have seen these kinds of things actually play out in real life on both ways. I've tried to remain very neutral on this case when talking about it, and always referring to how the child is the most important at the end of the day, because that's really why people get so caught up in their emotions. Whether they're trying to defend the mom or the dad, at the end of the day, we all have to be able to come to the common denominator, which is Sophie. Everybody cares for Sophie. Is it kind of weird how some people can twist things to lean more towards the mom side? Yeah, and that's where my criticism has been, because there's been things said that everyone else has been very easily able to debunk or say, no, that's not right. That's not where you got that information. And I haven't talked about this really since the records kind of started to get brought up and people were talking about the records. I did mention the records and how people were getting them. And my concern was when Katie first said she got these records and she discussed them, it made no sense. And I talked about that. It doesn't make sense on how what she was reporting they were saying and what was actually happening, because we all knew that the child was still with the father. So what she was selecting to say made no sense. And I did make the comment that I wanted to see the records myself, because I know how to decipher those on multiple levels. I know how to actually read and understand court documents and medical records due to the work I have and have had. I, since then, and all the kind of backlash people have gotten about talking about the medical records, which is, I think it is kind of deserved. In my opinion, I think people got so up in the arms that they thought they needed to provide the information to prove their point, or to have people start agreeing with them, that they were not fully thinking of the information they were putting out. You don't want your medical records leaked. I mean, if you've ever been sick with something that may be embarrassing or that you don't want people to know you've ever had, you don't want the whole freaking world to know that. Especially as a child, this little girl, like growing up from now on, everybody's going to know that when she was this age and she went through this, that she had some kind of health diagnosis, not just because YouTubers decided to talk about it, but also because it got put on national TV. And or I don't know if the Nancy Grace show actually aired on TV or if it was just on social media, but a large figure decided to cover that. And I am shocked that she did. I understand why she did, but I have so many opinions about the Nancy Grace stuff, and a lot of my opinions align with Josh and Annie's. I watched all of that, and then I watched their watching and talking about it. And, you know, I had taken notes during the Nancy Grace thing. And at the end, when they started giving their opinions and their feedback and their commentary on it, almost every point I wrote down, one of them or both of them had said. So I don't know if it's necessarily worth me talking about to you guys. If you want me to, I'll cover those points. But I really wanted to get on here and just kind of like talk about all this, see where you guys feel about it, how you guys are processing everything that's kind of come out now that they went to court and everything. I'm going to try and catch up with you guys in the chat. Hey, Jen. Sorry for the people I missed. Hey, Dark Lily. Hey, Mila. Yeah, stepping away was, I think, was probably a good choice for Sloan to make, because we see how the few creators who continued to cover it, how it ended up like just causing friction between the YouTubers. Not that, Katie is some kind of saint or that I like Katie. We all know I have opinions. I'm critical of her. So, and I don't agree with how she's handled this case particularly. I think that's been very clear in almost every live I've talked about this case, where I've ended up talking about her and her coverage of it. And I have acknowledged the fact, when I've been giving Katie criticism, is the fact that, yes, Josh and Annie have been very biased in how they talk about it. However, they have acknowledged their bias, and they have been forthcoming with who their source is. Katie, during all of this, has never really been forthcoming about her sources. She always states it's a family of the friend or somebody close to the family. And then we start having people who look into this and find information, and it appears that most of the information she is getting isn't even from somebody from the family. It's most likely from this PR firm. And the PR firm's job is to make the mom look good, right? So that information is going to be twisted. Just like I have said from the very beginning when talking about this case, is even if it's in black and white in writing, you can easily push it to fit whatever narrative you want. With almost any situation, if you are convincing enough, you can convince people to believe it however you want it to be believed, by your tone of voice, by your inflection, by what kind of information you actually provide to them. It is very easy to be done. That is terrible. People do that. It's called manipulation. But people do it all the time, and it's crappy. And if you can't detect it, or you can't realize that it's happening, unfortunately, you can fall and start believing whatever lies, really that's what it is, whatever lies you're being told. And it becomes a problem when people, and I'm not even just talking about the Sophie case, I'm talking about like life in general. When people do this, when they, for the first time, when they do something super manipulative on a large scale, and they get what they want out of it, they realize that, oh, they can trick people. Oh, they can lie and trick people and get the outcome they want. They will continue to do it. And then it becomes a part of their behavior. You can't imagine what Sophie will have to deal with. Yeah, I mean, and there were a lot of concerns about that with the Micah Stoffer's child. When everybody, was covering that with good intentions. I understand. I covered it as well. I understand why people covered it. I understand why people keep those videos up. It's something that as creators, we're going to have to realize. And I honestly realize and come to terms with. And I think at the end of the day, what it's really going to take is however the case ends. I think some people are going to end up deleting their stuff. Some people already have started deleting their stuff because it has been proven, or it is very evident at this point, that the information they were providing was inaccurate and false and misleading, and behaviors done in those videos was not appealing for that individual. And I guess in a good way, it's good that they can acknowledge that and delete it from their platform. Are they trying to probably save grace more than anything else? Probably. But we're all human. So, I'm not going to necessarily condemn somebody for that. But it's really just going to depend at the end of the day, honestly, is what I think. I think it's going to depend on how things end up finally playing out. And I hope these people are, like everybody, myself included, I've prepared myself to know that we may not ever know the final actual outcome. Is it likely we will? Yes, because this has been so publicized. I don't think the family is going to have an opportunity to keep whatever happens private. people are going to continue to follow this for a while. It's unfortunate, though. I mean, it's been the judge's order because they don't want social media involved. They don't, because it can be detrimental to Sophie, especially as she grows up. Like, she experienced something traumatic, and now she will always have people on YouTube who are talking about it. Although we may be defending her and we may be trying to stick up for her, we really need to be able to take a step back and think of, if I was in those shoes, how I would feel. Like, I'm sure every time when she's older, if she sees a video, she may revisit this whole situation. That's why I have said I will be deleting all of my Sophie stuff once everything is said and done. That is my plan. I'm going to just delete them all, private them all, and list them all. They're not going to be viewable for people, is what I'm going to do with my channel and in relation to the Sophie case. I think this case blew up and it's negative spiderwebs all over the place. KJ doubled down on the case, and I really, from what I've seen, Jen, she's started to maybe delete a couple of things. I don't understand why she doubled down. And my thing with Katie is we all have our opinions. We all talk about our opinions. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because that's what my channel is. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. What I have a problem with is her talking about the case as facts when it's not facts, her pushing information, that's not necessarily how things have been going on, especially when it came to the court stuff. After the hearing, how everything was proven by, Josh and Annie, how she was so confident and like murky about it. I don't want to say snarky because she finds that as a compliment, but she was really like uptight and like, haha, I'm right. You could see it in her face. You could see it in how she talked. And I was like, no. I mean, before I even saw what actually came of court from Josh and Annie, I knew for a fact what she was saying was not accurate. I have been in dependency court. I have dealt with cases dealing with custody. I, have investigated cases like this before. That is not how those things are worded. So I knew she was leaving stuff out, and I was waiting for Annie and Josh to provide their information, because although they are biased towards the dad, they flat out give us the facts. I mean, you have to, they do. They are not twisting stuff like actual documents. They're not twisting to fit their narrative. They are giving us the facts, and they are telling us what they have been told by whomever, whether it's the dad's attorney, or whoever is giving them additional information. They have been very honest and clear with their following, their subscribers, all of us about this. Let's see. Yes, Dana, I can agree with that Josh and Annie have been biased but not closed-minded. I think I just talked about my opinion on all that. Exactly. The case is not an us versus them. It's what's best for us. And I understand where, Annie and Josh kind of fed into, and Katie wasn't the only one doing this. I don't watch any other creator who's on the other side. I've only watched Katie, and I've kind of, over the last couple of weeks, have fallen off after all of this happened. Most of you guys know the personal stuff I've been dealing with. That's mainly why I just couldn't get it in me to deal with getting frustrated at watching a YouTuber spewing information I didn't agree with. So it's not just her. And I don't know if maybe using the terminology us versus them was a good way for me to put it, but it definitely pinned the people who were providing information more so in defense of the mom. And that's the problem, I guess, that I had, was the people who were trying to, give the mom the benefit of the doubt, which she deserves. I mean, she's human. We're all human. We would want the benefit of the doubt too. The problem comes, though, that they weren't providing information. They were just straight up being defensive. And, Josh and Annie were really trying to just let the viewers know as much information as they could. Yes, they were giving what side they sat on, but they were really trying to provide the information for us to make up our minds. I know there was a live that Josh has kind of gotten a lot of heat for, that I was also part of at one point for a short period of time, where shortly after Katie had started to double down, that, he was like, well, if you don't agree with this statement, then you're not believing the child. I don't believe that that was the best thing for him to do. And he also doesn't think that was the best thing for him to do. He has apologized about that. That shows that a creator is willing to grow and to learn. I understand Josh has a large following, but I think what people lose sight of is, although he's maybe been on YouTube for a while, he gained this large following relatively quickly recently. So, there are pressures, I think, that come with YouTube that people don't necessarily think of or relate to. So he's probably not used to having, massive amounts of people reaching out to him, agreeing or disagreeing. So I think he let his emotions get the best of him. Josh seems pretty level-headed for the most part. As well as Annie. I didn't know who Annie was until she covered this story. And, I'm happy she has gained the success she has. She deserves it. She covers her stories really well. She's very professional about it. I'm happy for those who have been able to gain all of the following that they have throughout this case. And it's been telling off of those people being able to gain people trusting them, if that made sense. Yeah, it has been judged and talked about everywhere. She does need help, and we're told that she is getting help. Dark Lily says, KJ claims she never speaks about the child, but she vilified Sophie more than anyone I've heard. You can clearly talk about someone without stating their name. Yeah, when I was covering and even still, I've said the child's name maybe once or twice on accident. And I've discussed the situation, I've discussed the situation very, a lot in depth. Was the Stauffer case. I always refer to him as their adopted child. With the Sophie case, I did opt to use her name, and that's primarily just because it's been so publicized, more so than what Micah and James were. As much of it as I don't care for Kelly, she is Sophie's mom, so I don't necessarily want Sophie to lose her mom. I just want her to be safe and protected by both of her parents. Yeah, and I mean, I'll talk about something in just a second. Yeah, Jen, I could see that. So just for those who may be coming in or leaving, I'm going to stop talking about Sophie for a minute, and I'm going to talk about my professional experience with cases like this. So in my work experience previously, this is hard to talk about because we don't know, and I'm not trying to say that this is what's going on in the Sophie case. In my opinion, professionally, the only reason she will have access to Sophie moving forward, if the allegations are proven to be she wasn't complicit with said actions. If it turns out that she was aware and she did nothing to protect Sophie, she should not have access to that child, in my opinion. That's from my profession that I've worked before, a parent's duty is to protect their children. If this mom or any hypothetical mom, any mom who is aware their child is being harmed by a boyfriend, a fiance, a husband, a family member of any kind, a friend of any kind, knows about it and doesn't protect that child by barring that individual from the home, by doing some kind of action to prevent them from ever being around that child again, is an issue, especially if a mom knows about it and continues to allow it to happen. Those kind of cases where I'm from, where I have worked cases where it has been an allegation that a mom has a boyfriend and is allowing the boyfriend to be inappropriate with a child because that boyfriend pays rent. That is a form of human trafficking, if you didn't know. And I'm not relating this totally to the Sophie case. I'm just really trying to provide information and have you guys step back and really think about it. The fact that they are allowing Sophie to have visitations with the mom, it's a gray area for me. I don't know how to feel about it because of the work I've done, because of how I know these cases typically are worked in, how, at least where I'm from, and how the outcomes are handled. So, and I'm not saying, and if we want to refer it to the Sophie case, I'm not saying Kelly did know about it if it was happening. I've said multiple times, it is very evident that Sophie has experienced something, but I'm not on the boat of being willing to condemn one person at this time. I understand she made a cry out. I understand she accused, like she has somebody that she is saying did this. I have seen children be able to reflect something that's happened to them on someone who didn't do it. And I've seen the opposite. So yes, I believe her 100%. I know something happened. Do I think at this point, with everything we've kind of been told, that it is likely to have maybe been him? It kind of looks that way. It does. Because why would a judge order him to not be around any of the kids ever again? That's concerning. Although there has not been any arrest done, people don't understand. I have worked cases like this, and it has taken years before for somebody to get arrested. So it doesn't necessarily mean because there's been no arrest that there's nothing going on. You don't want her to lose her. Yeah, I don't think anybody wants a child to lose a parent. However, we have to, if we really are wanting Sophie's safety to be paramount, it might be something that, as people who are willing to discuss this, that we talk about. It is a possibility that that might be an outcome. And it's sad. You totally respect Annie for keeping her composure and being level-headed and reporting the case. She's done a very good job. You want her mom to grow and learn from this? Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with giving either party the benefit of the doubt. I mean, we have seen, or at least I can attest for myself, I have seen people who agree with Katie, and I don't know if they agree with Katie because of how she's decided to talk about it. I don't know if they're agreeing with her because they are her subscribers and they want her attention, so they are just agreeing with her. But there has to be some people who do believe what Katie's saying, which the only issue I have with that is the stuff that she's saying isn't factual, but they do side with the mom. And there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. Yeah, the boyfriend's not allowed to be around any of the kids, which is interesting. You don't want to believe she's being complicit, and truthfully, that needs to be investigated before she gets unsupervised visitations. Well, and that's even, and you know, I think a lot of that comes from like the different me doing my work in a different state than Texas, like the term reunification was used a lot. I have only known that ever to be used when there's, which I guess in reality there has been like some court orders stating that the kids needed to stay with the dad. Maybe that's why they're using the term reunification, because typically reunification is a term used, from my experience, whenever there has been action taken against a parent. Yeah, Caroline, I feel a lot of people are in that they'd rather be wrong about believing a child than not believing. And, I also want to point out something while we're talking about this kind of stuff is Katie made some very bad choices in how she covered this and how she described the child, whether it was because she was responding to a comment or not. Her behaviors moving forward has given people the ability to say she doesn't believe the child, but she consistently wants to say that's not what she's trying to get across. But then she calls her a liar, saying that she doesn't believe that happened and that she's been coached. I want to clarify, and I'm not defending Katie. If anything, this is more criticism for her. She could have easily talked about the mom's aspect of it and not made herself look like an asshole. She chose repeatedly to make the same kind of comments over and over and over. And if she was giving, like, the information she was providing, if it was information from a PR firm that she was getting, and then she was stating it as if it were fact, I see a problem in that. Do you, let me know if you guys see the problem. I see a problem in that because it's a PR firm. Katie is an influencer. Even if she doesn't have a PR firm, she knows what a PR firm is. Even people who don't have YouTube knows what a PR firm job, what somebody in a PR firm, what their job is to do. Yeah, the boyfriend can't, it's not even just Sophie that the boyfriend can't be around. It's any of the kids. And that's weird to me, because typically in cases like this that I've had is there may be a no contact order, or in Florida it's called a Chapter 39, where the state can issue somebody to not be around a certain individual or in their household. And it's primarily to protect the child who's had the disclosure, right? It's not really common, unless there's grounds that there has been abuse or neglect occurring to the other children, for them to also be included in that. From where I'm from, we all have to keep in mind, when I'm talking about my previous experience professionally, I worked in a different state. And I know it gets probably tiresome for those of you who are here all the time, but it is important because different states operate differently. Their agencies operate differently. They have different laws. Is it primarily the same? Yeah, but there are nuances which make it very different. So I just want to make sure that that's clear for anybody who's new or hasn't heard me talk about my work before that I've done previously. I just want to provide that clarification. Yeah, Jen, no, it is for sure that it is a part of the last hearing that was held. Annie and Josh talked about it. It's a part of that court order that he is to not have any contact with any of the kids ever again. Anita said there is a problem. I think that's how you say your name. Sorry if I mispronounce that. Hey, Melody, you wonder if she's doing this for attention. Yeah, we know you mean without a crystal ball. I understand you wanting to clarify, though. Caroline, I can confirm that she posted a PR. Yeah. Yeah, she did, Caroline. And I believe Josh and Annie made a point to acknowledge that that's what was posted during one of their one of their combined lives, maybe, or it could have been when one of them was talking about it. Katie made this case about herself. I'm sorry, but I will always believe she's doing this with vengeance in her heart because Michael didn't pick her to her. I've kind of speculated about that before. It doesn't make sense. And Katie needs to understand why people have that. So I'll talk about it. People feel that way because Katie, initially, when this case first broke and everybody started talking about it, Katie went into his Facebook group and said, hey, like, I have this amount of following, I'd like you to reach out to me. Why would you do that and then not get any response, not really cover the story until a while later, and then you're covering it from a different perspective and you're spewing out, there's false rumors that I talked to him. I would never talk to him. Why? Like, Katie knows at this point that people screenshot, people screen record, people are doing everything in their power to have the evidence against her because she continues to do this. This is a pattern of behavior for her. It really is. At the end of the day, Katie has started to make this a pattern of her behavior to get some kind of information and then just talk about it and not necessarily check what she's talking. I mean, this happened with the Sanders stuff. This has happened with her Duggar stuff. She's being called out on multiple platforms about literally plagiarizing her content. You're glad he can't have contact? Yeah, but you think he should. And that would come of any criminal charges. And I'm not saying criminal charges are pending. I have made it clear that if there is a criminal investigation, we may not even know about it. It's none of our business, especially with how publicized this case has been. If we knew there was a case, just imagine how intrusive some people might be. So I understand, all of that, but what I can say, if there is an investigation going on or anything comes of the disclosure of him being the one being inappropriate with her, there would have to be some kind of repercussion to protect children moving forward. And that would be law enforcement's job at that time. Yeah, Jen, Katie did question her authenticity. She said that she was being coached. And Annie and Josh have both. So this is my opinion, and you guys can let me know what your opinion is. So typically when I talk about this stuff, I try to stay relatively solid, but I'm going to kind of waver from that for a little bit. It might come back to bite me in the behind, but we'll see. So what I think happened is I think Katie doesn't know how to read court documents. Again, I could be wrong, but I think Katie saw where in those court documents where it states, because Katie had said from the get-go before she even got the court documents that she thought the child could be coached based off of the language that she used. Okay, whatever. If that's what you got out of that horrific video that we all have, seen at least parts of, then I question something. Like, I question you a little bit because it's gut-wrenching for anybody to hear. And most people have the opposite reaction. That doesn't mean there's something wrong with Katie, but I question her character. If she can listen to that, and the one thing she gets is the language that she used, being that she had to have been coached. There are some intelligent kids out there. So, I mean, what are you insinuating? That she's, aside from the fact that you think she's coached, why could she not use that language? Are you saying, is that your defense on why you think she's coached? Is that your only defense? Because if you look beyond her language and you just watch that video on mute, I don't think you would say she was coached. Those tears, that frustration in that little girl is very easily read in her body language. I don't care if she's been to acting school. You can't make that up. You can't just, and on the spot like that, no, I've never seen something like that happen. Like, we have actors and actresses, which is funny because I've said it, Annie said it, Nancy Grace has said it, almost everybody has said, like, it's almost crazy for people to think that this was set up and that this was staged. So from that point, Katie got a lot of backlash for saying that she thought the child was coached. She continued to get backlash. She got the court records and she saw in there that it said the word coaching, and she took that and she just ran. I don't think she necessarily was able to read it because even Annie and Josh talked about the same records and read that snippet, and it says it was unable to determine if she was being coached or not. Which is, I mean, it is what it is, but again, without seeing it, without reading it in its entirety, we can all just speculate on what we're being told by those individuals who have seen it and have read that part of the document to us. I am more inclined to believe to believe Josh and Annie, because although they have been biased, they have always provided the factual information. She also said this story takes away from real victims. Yeah, no, it doesn't. It does not. If anything, this child is a victim no matter what. No matter what anybody says, at the end of the day, if it's not from something previous, it is from what's currently happening. This little girl has been victimized, and I mean, it's horrific and it's terrible. Like, I don't think some creators are really thinking of how it's going to maybe affect their reputation when all of this is over. And maybe not affecting them currently, but it will come back and it will get you. It is about the girl, not the parents or the YouTuber. She's abused, whether it's psychological, physical, or her actions are not typical. Yes, Millie, I agree with you. My children learned that language at her age. They had seminars at school about good. Yeah, I don't know if that's still a thing anymore. If it's not, it should be. It is the real in her statement that made me mad. And besides, people can focus on more than one case at a time. You know, I have noticed that to be kind of an ongoing theme within influencer community. I don't even mean just YouTube. I mean TikTok, Instagrammers, anybody who has any kind of platform. It seems to have kind of become the norm. It was the excuse of if you did something bad or you had poor behavior, that, and this is not in relation to Katie, or the Sophie case. I'm kind of taking a left turn. We can return in just a minute. But Dark Lily said, and this is what I'm going to address. Dark Lily said that KJ is her own favorite victim. And some people are agreeing. So what I want to talk about as a viewer of YouTube, Instagram, I mean, you don't really get famous on Twitter, but Twitter, TikTok, this has become, let me know if you think the same thing. It has become almost normalized that creators who get themselves into any kind of issue or are questioned to any degree, they want to pull that card. Oh, this happened to me before, so that's why I did it. Well, this has happened to me, so that's why it's okay that I did this. I'm not saying those things never happened to you or that you are not valid in your experiences. Lord knows if you have seen my story, you've known that I have legitimately been a victim before, and I have never, some things I have talked about have been questioned. I have never said I was abused as a kid, so that makes it okay. This behavior of these large influencers utilizing their traumas as an excuse for their crappy behavior is gotten to a point that so many of us are like just sitting here like, this is like high school. Why is this happening? Why are creators constantly trying to flip the blame to somebody else and utilize their experiences? This is across platforms. We see people like large TikTokers saying things and then getting criticized for what they say and then saying, oh, well, it happened to me, so it's okay. What the hell kind of logic is that? We are not in high school anymore. I don't understand why this has started to become the new norm. Hey, Della. Yeah, I mean, I agree, Amber. We are human. As if you're willing to put yourself on a platform, you're a human. Mistakes are going to happen. You shouldn't have a platform if you can't take that step back and self-reflect and say, I was wrong in this. I made a mistake in this. I have done it. I have said when I have misspoken or when somebody has brought something to my attention. You know, I'm not going to talk about what happened or anything, but one of my loyal subscribers brought something up to me that I offended them, and I didn't even realize I had done it. And it's something that other people could have easily been offended about. And I apologized to that individual profusely because I felt bad. And I had a conversation with them about how I will be careful not to do that again. Because if I offended one person, it is very likely that I offended more. That is not my goal here. What you guys say and how you guys interact with me is so important to me. It may not be to other creators, but I know for myself and the YouTubers I am close with, our subscribers are cherished. We do not want to take advantage of you. We want you guys to feel a part of this community because that is our goal, to build a healthy, debatable community where if we want to have a conversation with different opinions, we know we're not going to be booted for having a different opinion. We know we're not going to be attacked for having a different opinion. I have been in those chats. I have witnessed people say that they're not doing something and actually be doing it at the same time. But they are so manipulative and so convincing that people don't even acknowledge it or realize it. I don't want to foster that kind of community. And I want to give this the opportunity that if I ever have, or if I ever do in the future, say anything or do anything or cover something that you don't like, let me know, because your input means something to me. I'm going to step off of my soapbox and refer to the chat. Hey, Beck, how are you? You're one of Karen's subscribers. However, the more I watched her channel and listened to other YouTubers, I did some of my own investigation. After all that, I found out, yeah. Hey, Steph. Yeah, I mean, and that's the main issue that people who are willing to give Katie criticism, why they give her criticism is because all of her work is either plagiarized or it's misinformation or it's misrepresented information. That's why Katie has the criticism that she does. Her added crappy behavior and like snottiness only increases that and makes it easier for people to not like her. Because of how she delivers what she talks about, it is very easy for people who are maybe just coming to her channel to not know or not acknowledge or not even realize, especially if they are coming to her channel for one particular family. they're not necessarily going to know or be interested in the other stuff that she talks about. It is easy to use excuses to get out of a hole, and every victim card is up to be played, I guess. Yeah, but that's what it seems like, and I'm not on that. I don't agree with that at all. You think people use things that have happened in their past as a get out of free card, but really all it does is explain why you behave the way you, yeah, I mean, I understand if you handle a situation inappropriately because of something you have experienced and you inform your audience like, I am biased because of this. That's how I covered the whole Micah and James Stauffer stuff. As I said, I am totally biased in talking about this because I am an adopted child myself. I stated that throughout the whole thing. I will respect more a personality that can say, sorry, I made a mistake, than I screwed up. Yeah, the people who aren't willing to say sorry or I messed up and like it be genuine are people who are only in this for the money. I mean, that's my interpretation. People who are too afraid to lose their subscribers or who complain about losing views and subscribers constantly, obviously at the end of the day only care about one thing, and that's the income that they're making from their YouTube. I understand a lot of people use this platform as their full-time job. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. However, even the largest of largest YouTubers say that YouTube is not promised. You never know what the next day is going to be. We never know if, Google's going to pull AdSense. You never know. Like, relying on YouTube for an income is a dangerous game. There are some people with millions of subscribers who will acknowledge that. Raw Beauty Christie, she has acknowledged that multiple times on her platform over the years. So, I mean, and she's not the only one. She's just the one I can think of off the top of my head. So I understand, like, if you're making this your full-time career, how it can be scary. Maybe if you're not in that financial situation to do this as your only source of income and not be afraid, should you be making that step yet? Yeah, Dana, I've talked about that before in a previous live. Dana said, where'd your comment go? If Katie was a victim, it makes her behavior even more deplorable, in my opinion. And I've talked about that when the Sophie case first broke, and about a week or two later, Katie provided, her experience. And her experience is valid. Like, no one has ever said that that didn't happen to her, or, it's terrible that it happened to her. I said that, and I think somebody never, I'm not even going to address that. So that was a critique that a lot of us had who were covering the Sophie story, kind of questioned why, if you have experienced something and you are a part of a movement, why are you so easy to say that this didn't happen? Yeah, everyone who talks about Katie at some point, everyone who talks about Katie or gives her critiques was subscribed to her at some point for some amount of time. Hey, Goldtooth, how are you? Yeah, and she was an adult, not a child. Not that that matters. Trauma is trauma. How you are able to cope with it at different ages is different. It's still a traumatic experience, no matter if you're in your 20s or if you haven't even reached the age of 10 yet. However, when you're 20, you probably know some resources, or you are able to get yourself some resources. You kind of know what to do at that point to try and get yourself whether it be justice or help, you know how to do that on your own. When you are a child, you don't have those devices. Children are innocent. That's why it's so hard when terrible things happen to them for the average person to just look past it. Because they're innocent. They don't have the world experience. I agree. YouTube is a high risk job. You need to have a backup plan. Heck, if you have more stable job. Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people come onto this platform with hopes of it becoming lucrative. However, it is not. I don't even know where you get to a point when you start getting paid, because yes, I've gotten donations. Yes, I'm monetized. However, you have to reach a threshold for Google to even pay you. And I'm nowhere near that threshold. I could care less, but I don't know where that threshold is for when it starts to become lucrative enough for you to be getting paid. I'm sure for channels who are smaller, there's a dog here. I'm sure for channels who are smaller, utilizing their memberships and things like that probably help boost that, because then you're getting more income monthly to be able to get paid. But I don't know if there's been any YouTuber who's been open about being a smaller platform and where they were at in the ability to kind of sustain YouTube and live off of it. I don't know if there's any channels out there that talk about that, or who are in that realm and kind of talk about their experiences on YouTube. I'm sure there is, and I just haven't seen them. You will never doubt a victim, even, yeah. Yeah, Yeah, Caroline, I agree. When I talked about it, I don't know if you were in that live that I talked about it, but I said, and I just said, her experience is valid. It doesn't mean she's not been victimized. It doesn't mean she hasn't experienced trauma, but she has to understand that her timing of deciding to tell that story was very interesting. It was not a good move. I think she thought maybe it would have been a good move, but that's like the only time I've seen where like her or any other creator like trying to say woe is me didn't play totally in their favor. Hey, Michael. Sophie also had one side of her family that dismissed her. Yeah, and that's sad, but unfortunately it does happen. It happens way more often than I think most people are aware of. Doing the work I did, it was always a difficult conversation whenever I had a child disclose, and then I addressed it with the parents, and the parents are dumbfounded. And, it kind of, if they didn't have any idea, it goes one of two ways. That I have seen, they either get really mad, or they're just in a state of shock and don't really react at all. And then, it was my job to investigate. So I had to question the parents. And at times it would become uncomfortable, for sure, because, of course the parent feels like you're accusing them. But to get to the truth, questions had to be asked. Uncomfortable questions had to be asked. So it is unfortunate, the fact that it seems at this point that they have continued, that side of the family seems to not be willing to talk, which is fine. Like, that's within their rights. But to explain why they reacted that way is very questionable. Yeah, Beck, I'm a huge supporter and proponent of the Dad Challenge podcast, as well as Annie and Britt and Sloan. There's a ton of YouTube channels that I subscribe to and support and talk about on a regular basis. I've talked about him and his relation and how he has covered this story, as well as Annie. Les Do Makeup makes a fortune on Instagram and YouTube, and her construction worker husband, who made good money, recently quit his job to help her. They have lots of bills, and I cannot sleep at night. I get what you're saying, Della, except for the last sentence. They have lots of bills and you couldn't sleep at night. Like, you wouldn't be able to sleep at night if he had quit his job. I found her telling her story to be suspect myself. Of course, I don't know everything about her life. It's just weird. Is that video even up anymore? I feel like maybe she would have taken that down. Hey, the Organized Chaos, how are you doing? Yeah, and that's what I was going to say, Caroline. I don't know if that video is up anymore because she doxed that family. I think you have a balanced approach. You have a caring way about you, as well as I appreciate that. And that's kind of how I want to maintain. And if I ever waver from that, or you guys think I'm wavering from that, please call me out on it. I'm not going to be upset. I don't think you were here when I said recently I had someone reach out to me with some concerns because I had done something that was offensive to them, and I didn't even realize it would be offensive. But I'm sure, I'm not going to call that individual out. It's only been one person so far, but I want people to have that comfortability. Oh my gosh, I can't say that. I want people to be comfortable enough with me to let me know if I do something that's offensive. If enough people are offended by something, I will definitely apologize. And with what the individual did bring to my attention, I'm going to be very careful about moving forward to ensure, because if one person's offended, there's a chance that there's a handful of people who are offended who just don't feel comfortable or don't want to bring it to my attention. Yeah, she did apologize. If you want to call it apology, Jen, she posted on Twitter. Was it Twitter? I think it was Twitter. That she had gotten information that the family she had doxed had no affiliation with, who she was saying did those things to her, and that, to ignore that part of her video is pretty much, it was like a very short, brief apology. Yeah, okay. Caroline, thank you. I was wondering if she did, because I had heard before she released that apology that someone had heard from that family or knew of that family in that area and said that they were looking into getting legal counsel. I don't know if that's true. That's just what I saw. I don't even remember where I saw it, if it was on Twitter or if somebody mentioned it in a video. I don't remember. Your comment was too long. Basically, both the husband and wife only make money from YouTube and live in fabulous house with lots of bills. Scary. Yeah, and I mean, I can only hope that, and I think I have that worry for almost every YouTuber who is making this an income. I just hope that they're setting themselves up for success in the future. If you're a YouTuber, I don't think you always want to be a YouTuber. Like, when you're 50 years old, do you want to be filming? I shouldn't say 50. That's not a good age. That's pretty ageist of me. I apologize. But when you are elder and you are potentially, dealing with some health issues and things like that occur as we get older as people, do you want to be turning on a camera? If you don't set up your money appropriately, you are potentially setting yourself up. I hope people who make YouTube an income, or their sole source of income, that they are setting themselves up in a way that if they don't get paid, that they can that they can sustain their lifestyle. And I think most people who are in a point where this is their sole income for a family, they probably have management and agencies involved to ensure that they're handling their money appropriately. Yeah, Beck, a lot of us share similar subscribers. And I mean, that we don't mind that. That's fine. Yeah, Jen, I don't know. I just had heard or seen somewhere that they knew she was going to be reached out to. I don't know what that meant. I don't screenshot or anything, so I don't know. Sometimes I do, but not for my videos, just more for me to have if I ever need it. The way she's been donating money, buying 11 grand rings, $70 makeup palettes, expensive sweaters, etc. I would be putting money back instead of spending it like it's free money. Yeah, I've kind of seen her behavior doing that. The only thing that, like, if you have the money to spend, like, who are we to judge how you spend it, right? However, I think her subscribers or the people donating do start to have a right to judge when she begs for money. And I haven't seen her do that in a while, but I haven't been watching her content recently. But when she's asking for donations constantly, or she mentions that they may be struggling to get donations, if she's still doing that behavior and then purchasing these things, then there's a problem. That's when I think people do have the right to kind of judge how she's spending her money, because that's super shady. You don't tell your subscribers that you need money for food or whatever she had said before, or lawyer fees, and then turn around and spend it on a whole bunch of frivolous stuff that's not what they intended their donation to be for. That's just my opinion, and I think a lot of people fall under that category, and that's why people talk about how she spends her money, because she does that. And she also, I've talked about it before, it bothers me how she will do, not that she does members only chats, that's not an issue to me. What's an issue to me is she will do her members only chats when she's talking about something where she may get opposing opinions, which is forcing people to buy the membership because they want their voice to be heard. They are buying her membership, probably the cheapest one, which I don't know what it is because I've never looked, and then they may comment and she won't even acknowledge it, and then they super chat her again, sending her more money just for her to acknowledge whatever comment it is. And, you know, I'm pretty sure there have been people who have expressed that even as a loyal fan of hers, they feel the same pressure. No, Janelle, it wasn't that. I see your comment. I don't know. I think it's because the word you used. No, it was not that one. It was something different. But I apologize for that. I shouldn't have said that word when I did. If people do extreme things for clicks and views, they may keep them from jobs later. Yeah, I don't think people, when they start making money on YouTube, do they really think, I don't think most, especially if they're young, are thinking long term. Like they're making a ton of money in some cases. So, you know, I'm hoping that they have management involved to say, hey, you need to at least be putting this much away. Some YouTubers are, you know, when you do get paid by YouTube, the taxes are not pulled out. It's something that you have to calculate on your own to pay for your taxes when tax season comes. And I think it was Dustin Daly who tweeted out how much he had to pay in taxes this past year, and it was something like $20,000. That's a lot of money. And if you are not managing your money appropriately, you may not have that to pay back. And then that becomes a whole other issue. She's hemorrhaging followers on Facebook. Yeah, I don't follow Facebook at all. I know it can be a great resource, but I don't use it. Oh, you mean Twitter? I got blocked from Twitter. Yeah, the donation thing's one of your main issues. Mine too. That and misinformation and misrepresentation of information is another large one that I have with her. I just don't understand it. When someone gets shut up and they pay monthly, that's crap. Yeah, I really disagree with how she has handled her members in the past. Wasn't it one of the Sophie ones where she made moderators on her members only chat? Why are you doing, like, maybe that should have been an indicator that's a topic she shouldn't have been covering. If she feels she has to moderate the people who are paying her bills monthly, you probably shouldn't talk about it. Yeah, she deletes what they say. I know. I've seen her do it. On a recent live, she's done that. I knew she timed out people on that one live where she had people moderating her members, which is just like, that sentence doesn't even make sense. Jen said, I don't like that she was basically telling her subscribers, like herself, when she was a follower, because they had become a single family income, then got Botox. Yeah, I think people who have maybe defended Katie about the Botox issue weren't really understanding of why people were mad about her getting Botox. It wasn't the fact that she got Botox in and of itself. It was that recently she had crowdfunded money on some kind of platform or in a video stating it was for something it wasn't, and then just so happened to go get Botox, especially after she had been saying that she couldn't leave the house because of her son, and then she leaves the house to get something as frivolous as Botox. I'm not trying to judge her for leaving the house. I'm an essential worker. I have to be out in the public and engaging with the public on a daily basis. It's one thing to spew something to your audience and try and like say, I'm against this, I'm against this, I'm against this, only leave if you absolutely have to. I've been stuck in my house for 3 months. And then when you do decide to leave to pamper yourself, the way that she approached and handled that situation, to me, is why she got the backlash she did. Because she had been damning any other influencer who had gone out, or any other subscriber of hers who was willing to say in their comments that they had gone and done something out in public. She was damning them, and she was, almost, I'm not saying attacking anybody in her comments, but she was definitely belittling people for their choices. And the second she finally does leave her house, it's for something as unnecessary as Botox. That's not a necessary thing. Sorry, it's not. When she opened her live page, it cost almost $15 per page. People were complaining about having to cough up $30 for a combo of both channels. Then she accepted the money, then quit the channel. It was $15. I got the email from YouTube, which is crazy because I don't have a large following. I didn't think you had the ability to do memberships until you had a certain amount of following. I got the email that I have it to set up. I don't know if I will set it up. And if I do, it's definitely not going to be at costs like that. Yeah, I don't know why she wants to silence people she talks that are willing to pay for her. She's seeking a void. She's trying to be what she wasn't in high school, in my opinion. Yeah, it is backfiring. I think she has been trying to, I think since the Micah stuff, like watching her content, I think she's been trying to see where else she can fit in, because she's always covered the Duggars and like the Teen Mom stuff. I think personally she's probably getting bored of that. She's sick of that community and she wants to move on. So I think she's been trying to reach out into other areas to talk about on her channel to see which one may be more lucrative. And some of the areas she's choosing to fall into aren't working. Hey, Emily. Yeah, you're not the first person to tell me that. I don't know why that happens. It's something to do with YouTube, allegedly. Yeah, Tana and Jake Paul won't, I don't think, ever be able to get a real job. They both have management teams, though, so I'm sure somebody is telling them how to manage their money. She got Botox during a pandemic when she calls out everyone. Yeah, that's what I was kind of alluding to. Like it was very hypocritical. That's really what it boils down to. But a lot of what Katie does can be considered hypocritical. $15 is a lot. I've never seen somebody's membership be that high. There was a little older woman who is on a fixed income that did without groceries to make sure she had her kid food. Then she people rightfully got mad about that situation. I mean, Katie can't, in Katie's defense, not that I'm trying to defend Katie, but in Katie's defense, like we can't, as people, we can't, or influencers, whatever you want to call us, YouTubers, we can't dictate how people are going to spend their money for us. But if she was, trying to get money and asking for money, that's when I think people should be careful about asking money, because you don't know who your audience always is. Like we know who our demographics are in our analytics. We can see what age range typically watches our videos. So I'm not going to say that it's her fault, but I hope she had good intentions and that maybe she reached out to that subscriber and gave her the money back. That would be something I would do if I knew somebody donated me money and they didn't have the money to donate. I would give it back to them. I would find a way to get it back to them. That's really crappy. Like I don't know any way to like kind of be positive about that. She got a lot of, Caroline, I think she blew up when the Micah story happened, and then some people were trailing off, and then the Sophie story has happened. So now she has, I think what's happened, both of those had to do with children, because people, as humans, we want to protect our innocent, we want to protect children. So we are going to, although it's hurtful for us to watch that stuff, we want to know that the children come out on top. So people are more interested in watching justice come for kids. And I think she was trying to fit into that niche like Sloan has. She doesn't have the right personality for it like Sloan does, because she has built up so many people being critical of her because of how she has cultivated her following at this point. Like she doesn't seem genuine to a lot of people. In my opinion, I don't think she's a genuine person. Sloan is very genuine. It is very obvious that when he talks about these cases for these kids, he's doing it for the kids and not for anything else. When Katie comes out with a story, it's a story, if that makes sense. Did you see the video where she told people they were ridiculous if she believed in crystals or magic things, etc., and how they needed to read a book or learn science? I don't think I did because that doesn't ring a bell, but I remember people pulling up how when she first started YouTube, she did something with crystals. I saw that somebody made that comparison on Twitter. I was like, interesting. When she cleaned her couch, someone asked if she was trying to be like Stop Her Garage. Yeah, I saw people judging her for cleaning her couch on Twitter. I didn't see the video though. You thought it was bugs. Ew. Like in her couch, or am I misunderstanding? Are you saying there were bugs in her couch? She told her audience I was a troll, so she sent me an invite to go live Friday night, but I was accepting. She blocked me and then told everyone I was too scared to go live. Did she not? What was the topic on Friday, Dana? I don't understand why people do that. You've seen it at like $1.99 and up. But yeah, I've seen other creators have their membership start at like $2 or $5, and I think that that's pretty acceptable. But $15 is outrageous. I would never pay that. And I want to know what kind of exclusive content they were getting. Were they even getting any? Yeah, she does. Dana, most of us kind of feel that way. I have it on a screenshot where the members were complaining. Really? I haven't seen anything like that, but I mean, I believe you. I have no reason not to. I started watching and subbing to Patreon. However, I had to stop membership when the pandemic started. Yeah, and for anybody who's here, like, don't feel if you are struggling financially, especially because of the pandemic, stop supporting just watching the ads helps a YouTuber. So if you can't afford the membership, cancel the membership, but when you watch their videos, just watch the ads all the way through. I believe you would give it back, but yeah, Katie, I don't think Katie would either. I'm interested. It's none of my business. I don't know who the subscriber is, but if she knew about it and she hasn't done anything about it, that speaks even more to her character. Micah was her largest boom. Yeah, I assume so much. I knew there was something with Tati just because of how she talks about Tati, but I didn't know that got her any subs. I have no idea, Emily, what TV show she's doing. She does stories for money. Yeah. Dana, she's manipulating her audience. That's why she did that. That's exactly why she did it, because she wants her audience to think that you are the one who was scared or didn't want to have that conversation with her, when in reality you were there and trying to get in, but she blocked you. I mean, that's a manipulation tactic, and that's what I'm seeing a lot of YouTubers start to do, is manipulating their audience to push whatever narrative they want to push. She used to use crystals. Yeah, I saw something about that, Michelle. I remember her saying that, Dana Britt, I didn't realize it was you. That's awful. It's just how Uni does. He blocks people and says he's waiting for them to come in, then pretends they're lying. Uni's a piece of work. That's disgusting. I haven't seen that video, so if there are bugs there, I mean, that's weird. How do bugs get in your couch? I have 2 dogs, and I did have 3 until recently, so I don't have bugs in my couch. So I don't want her to use the excuse of it being her animals. Yeah, what people believe is not, if it's not hurting anybody, it's no one else's business. I mean, it doesn't, this is going to make me sound ignorant, and I'm sorry, maybe somebody can clarify. Believing in crystals, isn't that kind of considered a religion? She used to use crystals and now she's trying to act like it's stupid. Yeah, she does. Hey, Queen from Italy. I'm good. How are you? She knew about crystals and their different healing powers. Why lie about something like that? Like, if anything, she could have used that to her benefit and educate people. That's what I don't understand. That's one of the things with creators I don't understand is if you have knowledge, like try and spread your knowledge. I try to spread my knowledge. Like, for example, in the beginning of this live, when we were discussing Sophie, I relate it to my profession I used to work in to give you guys the ability to use what knowledge I have to come up with your own opinions, your own help you come to your own conclusion. Why don't creators do that? I don't understand. Like, share the knowledge you have. What is so wrong with that? The exclusive content bought basically an hour of early content and weird lives / drunk lives. Okay, that's just your observation. Okay. That's not worth $15. I would think like an exclusive full video would maybe be worth $15. She told one of her subs they were stupid for believing in Mercury retrograde. So I said she didn't have to call the lady stupid. Just don't be rude. Yeah, I don't. Again, I don't understand why. And she's not the only YouTuber. So this is to multiple YouTubers. If you're going to go live, if you get comments that you don't agree with, why are you even addressing them? You are just asking yourself to make a comment like that, and it does no good for you or that person. Like, that person she called stupid probably feels badly about themselves. Who knows if they were like a hardcore supporter of hers, and for her to turn around and call them stupid it's hurtful. But she doesn't want people to cross her lines, but it's okay for her to cross other people's lines. You need to respect your subscribers just as much as they respect and idolize you. Because if you don't respect your subscribers, you, at the end of the day, it's not going to get you anywhere. Like, I understand to this point, has it gotten her to where it has? That's going to die out eventually. People don't want to be treated like crap all the time, especially if they're paying for it. Yeah, Michelle, I was on the fence for a long time too. And then there was an event that happened and that really turned my opinion. I have videos where I was very much on the fence with her, and it's obvious I was on the fence with her. I wasn't defending her, but I was also, stating I'm not a hardcore supporter, but I know there's people who have concerns for her behavior out there. I don't know, Mila. Yeah. Yeah, I know organized. Like, I get that that's kind of how insects operate, but would they still be there? You believe in everything just a little bit. She uses everything she used to do to tear people down with. Yeah, I mean, I don't understand why anybody would try and downgrade somebody based off of their beliefs. They're not the only one with that belief. And I mean, I'm not a super religious person, so I don't know if like this conversation is best for me to have. But I don't think I'm the one to really be talking about like beliefs in religion and things like that. But at least I can acknowledge that. If you guys want to continue talking about it in the comments, I don't mind, but I'm not really the most educated to be able to really provide any input. However, I can say it's no one else's place to judge what kind of belief or religion you have. What does it matter? She talks about how isn't she agnostic or something like that? Doesn't she talk about how she doesn't believe in anybody and kind of like make videos about that, trying to spread awareness and education about her belief, which from my understanding isn't a super popular belief. I might be wrong. But why is she then trying to come at somebody and use that against somebody who has a different other than what you would typically consider a normal religion? Does that make sense? Like I said, I'm not probably the best one to talk about this because I don't know enough about religions and different religions to fully talk about it. Michelle, that was her whole intent. Like, I know this all started because we were talking about Michael Long and how she was addressing his beliefs, and that she was trying to portray him to be, the whole time she's ever mentioned him, she's tried to portray him in a way that he's in a bad way. She was trying to portray him to be somebody he may not necessarily be. Nobody's judging you, Dark Lily. I'm sure other people have subscribed to her lives, that her channels, and aren't getting much out of them. I appreciate that, Michelle, and I'm glad you've decided to join the chat today. It's always nice when people say that they're joining the chat and they've been watching and they haven't joined. I've said multiple times, I used to be a silent watcher, and to some extent I still am. So I understand not maybe feeling comfortable or wanting to join in a chat, just never knowing, even if your opinion is different than ours. Most of my subscribers who are in my lives are open and are going to have a healthy conversation, and you might teach us something on, or make us realize where we maybe are not thinking of something in a way that you are. I love the Reddit page. Yeah, I don't know how to work the Reddit page. I got Reddit because Britt told me about it, and I just can't figure it out. Jen said, I don't care what people believe as long as it's not hurting them or others. I mean, the Star Man, a man lived in a belly for a whole year. How many lives has the Dalai Lama lived now? Yeah, I agree with your sentiment. I get what you're trying to say there. As long as it's not harmful, what does it matter? She's a proud atheist. Okay, I mean, more power to her. But again, that's not I know that it's a well-known religion, but it's not super common. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just naive in that aspect, but I didn't know that that was like a super popular religion. I feel like people, when they say they're atheists, end up having to feel like they need to explain why they are and what their religion is, because it's not well known or it's not one of the super popular religions. From my experience, I could be wrong. I mean, it's kind of telling if she is experiencing something like that for her own religion and then is talking poorly about another belief or religion that is not well known and trying to make them seem, what did she call them, stupid? Like, that's not what? Imagination. I got on. Oops, I just lost my spot. Sorry if I skipped your comment. If you wanted me to know it, then just retype it. I lost my spot. She could have easily ignored the comment. No, she enjoys engaging with the people that are nasty to her because then she gets to call herself snarky. And I've talked about how I don't think it's cute, but her and her subscribers think it's cute. Yeah, I'm it is never my intention to make even when I talk about Katie like we are and have been for a little bit now, I don't talk about her in a way to put her down. I talk about her literally in a critical way for if she ever sees these. Not that I think she goes out and watches all of these videos. I don't care if she ever sees them. I'm always respectful, but for the off chance that she may see them and maybe be able to learn something or how she is doing something. Bye, Steph. Oh, I'm sorry, Mila. I'm glad you enjoy my live chats, but I'm sorry you experienced something that had worked you up. I really appreciate that, Michelle. And if you're not subscribed to Brit, I would say subscribe to Brit. We share a lot of the similar followers for our live streams, and her chat is very much like my chat. Myself and Della are her moderators over there, so we curate. We don't ever have to delete anything because her chat is almost identical to mine. She just talks about different stuff than me. She is still a commentary channel, and she does like makeup stuff too. Her makeup stuff is a little bit different than mine. She does more reviews and talks about like product recommendations, whereas mine's just me doing my makeup. Sometimes chats can be hostile. I don't like those type of chats. I think everyone's perspective is invaluable to a degree or another. I absolutely agree with that. I always think that people can learn from chats. There's only been one live I've ever had where I haven't been able to manage my chats. And, that was just one time. Every other time I've been able to not even really moderate. It's really me reading you guys' comments so we can continue the conversation so your opinions and your voices are heard. You paid for 3 months. It's okay. I mean, Dark Lily, you're not the only one who paid for her membership. A lot of people have paid for her membership. I personally, although I know it supports a YouTuber, I have never paid for a membership, which is a lot of why I'm on the fence for even thinking about starting one for myself, because I don't pay for them. So I don't want to set something up that I don't even engage in as a viewer. I completely agree. I've seen nothing but positive comments in the chat. Well, I'm glad you finally, felt comfortable to join, Michelle. We always enjoy everybody coming in. Life experiences sound better than suckered. Always. It bothered me that Katie tried to make people believe Michael Long has a mental illness. So what if he does? I agree with that so much, Dana. Mental illness does not affect your ability to parent. And I'm not saying that this affects her parenting, but ADHD is mental illness. And she's been very open with the fact that she has ADHD and that she takes medication for it. That's super hypocritical for you to try and convince people he has something and then you yourself be diagnosed something. What happened to advocating for mental health? You think she watches everything about herself? Well, she might, Michelle. She very well might. But a lot of my lives, almost every live I have, unless it's an open discussion live, she ends up being brought up to some degree. And I don't always put her in the title. If she is the majority of the topic, then I'll put her name in the title. Yes, thank you, Organized Chaos. We are happy to have her here. Britt is great. Yes, she is. She's my people, man. Yeah, everyone can believe what they want. Exactly, Emily. That's kind of a running theme with Mila. Yeah, I don't know, Mila. I just don't get it. Yeah, Michelle, for sure. If you catch her next live, her live chats are very similar to mine, just different content. It perpetuates the stigma that someone with a mental illness can't be a good parent. And that's not true. No, it's not true. Not at all. It's far from the truth. Mental illness doesn't, although it can be debilitating, it doesn't mean that you're not a functioning adult, especially if you have it and you are managing it in whatever way you know is appropriate for you to manage your mental health to be functional. I think I'm going to put a poll up for my open discussion on Wednesday. And I know there's a topic that some people have been wanting me to talk about, and I'm not opposed to talking about it. I just I haven't been in a good mind space to be able to talk about it these last couple of weeks. I'm out of that for the most part, so I would be open to talking about it. However, I am going to give you guys the option to vote on what topic we discuss Wednesday night. And mental health is probably going to be one of those. Hey, Shauna Lee. Yeah, I mean, that just also goes to speak about her hypocriticalness. Shauna Lee said, she also says she doesn't want to talk about politics, but yet talks about people who are political. In a roundabout way, she gets her opinions across while at the same time alienating people who don't, I think, get cut off for you. Exactly. She manipulates people. She manipulates her audience into what she manipulates them for what she wants them to know. Yeah, most of the time my lives go pretty well. Usually about the 2 hour mark, I start to get some trolls and stuff, which we're crouching in on that. So I'm probably going to end up getting off here in about 15-20 minutes. I'm trying to catch up in the chat though. She's a part of the problem with stigma and mental health. Yeah, there's a couple of YouTubers who are. I've talked about them before, like Tana Mojo, some of the larger creators who try to use their mental health as an excuse for their poor behavior. Although poor behavior may be a result of your mental health, it's not caused by your mental health, in my opinion. Yeah, she is super contradicting. I haven't seen that video, Deep in Thoughts. I've seen their YouTube videos. I haven't seen that one though. At Mila, do you mind? Jen wants to know, Mila, what chat it was that you were talking about, if you want to say. Does Dana Britt have a channel? Did I miss something? Oh, Organized Chaos. If you're talking about Brit that I am recommending, it's Radiant Brit. She used to be It's Brit Glow, but she recently changed her name to Radiant Brit. Was a huge blowout between Sherelle and John Yates. Yeah, I don't know anything about Katie and the Sherelle drama, or like I know bits and pieces about the Steve stuff and all of that, but not enough to where I could ever really talk about it. Go to Little Red's channel if you guys want to know about her previous concerning history. Going to Little Red, they talk a lot about that stuff and explain it, which is where I've learned the knowledge that I have. I was not a part of this community at that time, so I don't know enough to feel comfortable to talk about it. Oh man, I just lost my spot. This keeps happening. Sorry, my legs are sticking to the chair. I think part of her does want to keep drama going on with other drama channels, Michelle, because it keeps her relevant. I feel like in Dana, I'm not sure which live stream you and Mila are talking about. However, if you pay attention to her, it's like at least once a week she is drinking something that is an adult beverage, and her behavior reflects that maybe she is getting, it's affecting her to some degree. Millie thinks we're giving her too much time and should talk about something else. Hey, Steph, glad you're back. Yeah, we'll see what happens with that organized chaos. I've missed Little Red's chats these last couple of days, so I've kind of got to catch up. All right, guys. Well, I just got a text from my husband that our food has gotten here, so I am actually going to go. I know I'm kind of ending this abruptly. I apologize. The channel I was talking about when I was referring to Brit was It's Brit Glow, but now she's Radiant Brit here on YouTube. She has very similar content. I will be having some videos coming up for you guys, and then I will post the poll probably Monday or Tuesday for the Wednesday open discussion. If you're new to that, it's where we talk about mental health, substance use, suicide's one that people want me to talk about. Anything that's kind of like a real world issue where we can have a space to talk about it with one another. So if you're interested in that and you haven't attended one of those, look out for it on Wednesday. All right, guys. Well, I hope you have a good rest of your Sunday, and I will see you later this week. Bye, guys.